All right, so Blackmagic had its NAB product announcement, and yeah, we got a couple things. We got some new ATEMs, we got some, you know, broadcast panels, we got some replay. I think that's really okay. We all know what y'all really want to talk about. Y'all want me to talk about the cameras, so let's talk about the cameras. So there's quite a lot to cover about Blackmagic with their NAB announcement, and I'm going to go over every single thing individually in various separate videos, and I'm going to go over the things that I am most interested in, and I will cover those individually. But I'm going to definitely start up with the one camera that I know a lot of people are now have been waiting so long to finally talk about, which is the box camera. So let's talk about that today. What's good, everybody? My name is James Jackson. If you're new here, I do tips, tricks, news, and reviews for the film and video making industry. So if this is content that you like, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you can stay up to date on all the content going forth. So I know a lot of y'all are probably wondering, why are you late? And I know a lot of people actually put in comments on my other videos, as well as, you know, sending me DMs. It's like, yo, did you hear what they announced? Did you hear what they announced? Yes. And the reason why I am late is because I was on a major set for my company, and pretty much it was all day. I'm actually still exhausted. I'm right now at like 4 o'clock in the morning putting these videos together for you guys, all because I love you guys and I love the conversations that we have online. But enough rambling, let's actually talk about Pyxis. So the box camera that we mainly have gotten. And today I kind of want to, I'll go over a lot of the specs, but honestly, a lot of the specs is very similar to the full frame camera, which you guys know I have, and I have been loving that camera. So I won't really go into the specifications. That's not really the forte. I really want to sort of talk about, you know, hearing the things that I'm hearing about this particular type of camera and where I think this camera is aiming to be, and then am I going to get it? So that's sort of the things that I'm going to talk about today. All right, let's just give a quick rundown of the Pyxis. It is a brand new camera, completely new design. It is the box camera. We finally got the box camera. I know Blackmagic has been like, yes, here you go. We finally made you a box style camera. Here it is. Here you go. And I have to say, I do overall like the design of the box camera. It's more rectangular than actually box, which is actually my preferred way. I know some people like to go smaller and compact, but me personally, you know, it's kind of better just in terms of a balancing standpoint if you have a little bit longer of a camera. So more so like an FX6. And I know for people that in the broadcast camera, that sort of broadcast field, that is actually kind of what is sort of what they kind of prefer, because a lot of times they have it on the shoulder, and cameras that are typically longer tend to work better on the shoulder than that's typically box camera. But this is really sort of course, been designed to be modular, to be put up in many different ways. You know, the modular design has sort of been what everybody's been aiming for since the first Alexa Mini came out, where everybody just started putting it in more designs than what Ari initially intended it to be. One of the things that I absolutely is that we finally got SDI, but it looks like there's only one video outsourced. The other BNC is timecode, which is great. It's BNC timecode, S12G SDI, which is definitely an improvement over the cinema camera, because you actually can output all the way up to 8K. You can use pretty much the full, you can send out the full 6K out if you have a recorder or something that could be. So anybody that may be complaining about not having ProRes, that's not really a problem, because if you just have an external recorder for like an Atomos or something, you can just record ProRes and you can get the full resolution out of that camera versus something like the cinema camera. Also, the big thing here is also they got Ethernet gigaports. So of course, if you can connect that to Blackmagic Cloud, you can be able to offload your proxies immediately, which doesn't take up a lot of space. So you're able to basically just send the process so your editor can just get the ball moving and start rolling that way, which is really, really great, and I'm happy for that. One of the things I absolutely do love the fact is that the mount is modular. And it's modular in multiple ways that is sort of benefit to the user. So if you're someone that runs with more like photography lenses or wants to go with more lighter set lenses, you can use the L mount, and of course you can always adapt to EF and PL mount, and there's various options that you can choose. I've shown both options with the cinema camera full frame, so that gives us multiple options and gives you lens options. But you can also have a native PL and a native locking EF, which is really, really cool that we can actually have a locking EF mount. But the fact that it has the ability to swap mounts and relatively swap them very easily with just 4 screws, take it off and just replace it, I think that is probably one of the best ways to go with it. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the thing that so many people are complaining about, which is that the screen is fixed to the side of the camera. And I understand if you're someone who's sort of more used to the hybrid style cameras, you're used to those types of styles of cameras, I totally get why you may be upset, or maybe you're looking at something like the Komodo or the Z cams that have a little thing on the top. But let's just be honest, the screen on the top of the red cameras or even the Z cameras are not really that usable in terms of image. They're sort of like they're there they're there for emergency purposes. But in reality, most of the time, when you're using a box style camera, you're going to go with an external monitor. So this isn't as big of a deal. And for me personally, as someone who gets paid to do a lot of testimonials and interviews and things like that, actually having a monitor on the side is actually more beneficial to me, because I actually can sit right there on the side and then look at get the frames and get that set up and still be able to sit and talk instead of being behind a monitor when I'm trying to do interviews. So in that sense, this to me is sort of goes more into what I believe what this camera is aiming to be, which is it is more of a real production camera, not necessarily something that is designed to be more run and gun, but you can build it to be run and gun if you need to. But in its native form, it's not really designed for that. It's designed to be on sticks. It's designed to have an operator or the sort of things on the side. Lastly, I want to talk about the battery. Now, the runtime that Blackmagic says at the highest capacity of a BPAU battery is about 3 hours, which tells me the battery is still very draining, but that's not a big deal because, you know, cameras like the FX6 have BPAU batteries as well, and then Tilta makes adapters for them. So I'm almost certain Tilta is going to make a V-mount option. I think Tilta and other third-party manufacturers are going to handle it. The only thing I will say to all the third-party manufacturers, please, if you're going to build it, make sure it doesn't come in conflict with the I/O ports on the side. And I think that to me is the real design flaw. The one major design flaw of this camera is the fact that if you want to go with bigger batteries or more higher capacity, more serious batteries, you pretty much have to just be mindful of the I/O ports on the side, because it's much smaller and more boxed out oriented. You could sort of get in the way of access and entry to a lot of these ports. So personally for me, if I'm going to build out a battery case, I'm definitely going to go with something that can provide a micro style panel with something like Tilta's like Arca Swiss Manfrotto style hybrid mini V-mount battery plate that they came out with. I absolutely love that. I've been using it on my full frame cinema camera, and I think that style of rig will probably work ideal for this camera. So I'll leave links to that in the description below so you guys can check that out. I know a lot of people complain about, you know, the limitation of frame rates and open gates, which I totally get, but keep in mind this is a large format camera. And I know this a very large format is a very liberal term, but in terms of cinema world, 35mm is large format. And that also means that there's a lot of data and a lot of processing power that needs to be. Odds are it's probably gonna have the same rolling shutters as the Cinema Camera 6K, which I know a lot of people are not fans of. But again, I've shown with the gyro data that honestly, that is not that big of a deal. It is pretty much neutralized. If you do that, you just gotta be mindful about it and just be careful. But honestly, it works perfect, it looks great. And then with the recent firmware updates to the cameras, the gyro data is slightly improved, and I'm pretty sure Blackmagic will improve it more so over time. So that's not necessarily as big of a deal to me. But if you're someone that is like completely don't want any rolling shutter, yeah, just go ahead and get a global shutter. But honestly, in terms of the style of filmmaking that I do, global shutters is kind of not a bit of an overrated feature that it's just everybody's just hyping up right now. But just a quick rundown, if you don't know, this camera will shoot 6K open gate up to 36 frames a second. It will shoot in the 2:4:1 aspect ratio all the way up to 60 frames a second. You can go into a super 35 4K option that will let you record up to 48 frames a second, and then DCI 4K up to, I believe, 60 frames a second. But of course, you will be windowing in on the sensor. Now, I know also the native ISO is said to be 400 and 3200. I'm gonna tell you right now, I believe 800 is a better native ISO. And if this is in fact the same sensor that is in the Cinema Camera 6K, I'm going to be shooting at 800 ISO because the image quality just to me performs better at that native ISO. And for those that was like 3200, I would say try to stay a little bit lower. It tends to be a lot more noisier. And again, if this is the same exact sensor, but we'll see as more people gets their hands on it. Lastly, I want to talk about the thing that I've been hearing from all the bigger influencers and the bigger YouTubers that are bigger than me. Complaining about the dynamic range. Oh my gosh, it's only 13 stops of dynamic range. Oh my gosh. To me, that is not a big deal at all. Again, 13 stops is more than usable. And again, I've already written a video while the conversation and the way people talk about dynamic range on the interwebs is completely overrated. Dynamic range in terms of how they're talking about it. If you haven't seen that video of dynamic range is overrated, I'll leave that up here as well. But the long story short is that there's so much more that goes into dynamic range. But to me, 13 stops is more than usable. I've been using the full frame camera. It only has 13 stops and it's more than enough. And if you have lights, again, this is designed for professional settings, which will be using lights, and most exposure tools only see up to 10 stops. So I think the dynamic range nitpick is completely blown out of proportions, and I think people are just trying to find reasons to nitpick and find something wrong with the camera. So overall, what do I think this camera's for? For me personally, I think this is somebody that has been wanting a actual production ready camera, but in a smaller body that wasn't in something like the pocket style bodies. And also, I'm getting the sense that the pocket style bodies are actually about to go away, and they're going to go more with these lines of this Pyxis as well as the new Ursus, which I will talk about in another video. But to me, this is a production camera. It is a cinema camera. And to me, that's where it is. This is a camera that is designed to be working with either a one-man band, but also with a small crew. It's there to be able to move and be put into a lot more use cases. Definitely something with like gimbals. This is going to, I know people who've been wanting to use Blackmagic on gimbals. They finally have it in this. So that, I believe that's where the use case is, to be modular, be able to put it but easier in cars and things like that. And again, it's for people that actually sort of do more professional work than necessarily with the pocket style cameras. Now, what's some things that I don't really like? I'm still bummed that there isn't any built-in NDs. However, I will say that there is an OLPF in this one, which is really good. It's the same one that's in the Cinema 6K. So if it's a choice between that OLPF and ND filters, I would rather take the OLPF because it saves me so much of having nice clean blacks. Even if there's a pixel shift, the blacks are not getting crazy magenta, which we were having with a lot of their cameras that had built-in LEDs. Now, who do I think this camera is not for? If you are someone who is a hybrid shooter or used to that hybrid shooter style of filmmaking, where it's just you want to just get the camera to just be lightweight and just running gun and style like that, this ain't that camera. Again, this is a camera that makes you think. It's a camera that gives you more possibilities of things to do with its 3x2 open gate, with the various forms of lens options that you can get that are becoming more and more affordable each day. It has beautiful color science that if you put the right lighting tools, which are getting more affordable each and every day. And even though it doesn't have autofocus, honestly, the fact, if you haven't seen my video again up here about DJI's focus kit, that autofocus, I don't care if a camera from this point on has an autofocus system anymore, because LiDAR is going to take over all of that, and then autofocus in cameras are pretty much going to be irrelevant. Now, the question is, will I be getting one? Yes, I'm really excited. So once I get the camera in, definitely keep and subscribe to the channel so you can get a chance to take a look at all the content on that. But that's it for me on Pyxis. I would love to know what your thoughts. Are you excited? You finally got the box camera. Are you excited with this? Or are you disappointed with the dynamic range, with the fixed screen, no AF or IS? Let me know your thoughts. I would love to know. Leave your comments down below. And as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, take care, everyone.